Hey, it's old Big Chief, and welcome back to my education series, where I sip on whiskey and give you some education. Gotta love some craft whiskey. Where's this whiskey out of right here? This is out of Hawaii. Ko'olo Distillery, Old Poly Road, veteran made. You know I gotta love that. And I was gifted this by a veteran that went out to Hawaii. Thanks, Joe Hill. I really appreciate it. Now, why did I pick Hawaii? Well, that's because bourbon has to be made in the United States, not just Kentucky. That's a U.S. law. 51% corn, like I said. The other two grains, rye or wheat, my favorite, and a third grain in there, usually malted barley, a very low percentage. That would be your flavoring grain and then a finishing grain. You put together that mash bill, and then you got bourbon. You distill it no higher than 160 proof, and then you put it into the barrel or container at no higher than 125 proof. Now, you got to put it in a new charred oak container, not just a barrel, but we love it when they put them in those barrels because they're awful beautiful. But anywhere from, like I said yesterday, from a 1 to a 4. When you pull it back out, a toasted, you put it into a secondary barrel, a finishing barrel. That would be a toasted barrel. But to make that bourbon, you could put in there for any time of age and call it bourbon. To be straight bourbon whiskey, it has to be at least 2 years old. And if it's less than 4 years old, it has to have an age statement on there for you. So that's pretty much the difference between bourbon and whiskey. Most whiskeys around the world are made with 100% malted barley. Now, whiskey has to be made with grain. So there's a lot of people making bourbon out there. Instead of using wheat or rye, they're using oats. They're using rice. Some are even using this other grain called triticale, which is a hybrid between wheat and rye. So that's the basics of bourbon right there. The old saying, all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. I hope that answered your question, Nick Alfonso. I appreciate it. If you got some whiskey questions, send them to me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate that. Just some very basic stuff about whiskey. It is a U.S. law. I'll talk about Tennessee whiskey and why it's a bourbon in a later episode. I hope you really are enjoying these. Like I said, give me a follow. Check out my website, thewhiskeytrip.com. Order my swag on there, a hat, a t-shirt, one of my rocks glasses, or even one of my challenge coins. I really appreciate it. This is old Big Chief, and thanks for taking this ride with me, baby.